Hey, you guys, welcome back. This is Andrea with From Mrs. to Ms. I have a special guest with us here today. His name is Derek Newborn. Hi, Derek.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Thank you for joining me today. Super excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, you guys, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about Derek. So you're on the up and up. So Derek is the owner of the Newborn Blueprint. I see what you did there. I like it. I
You
like
like it?
it. And the Metabolism Rev Up. He specializes in helping women keep their social life while building a confident bikini body and overcoming self-sabotage from past trauma. So with thousands of clients globally, his mission is to liberate people from the fitness industry's misconceptions. And facilitate significant transformations for lifelong health and wellness. I love it. That's amazing. I love what you're doing here. This is so
Thanks.
good. And it ties in with my stuff because my whole podcast, Derek, just kind of came around because I had a lot of women, middle-aged women. I was married for like 20 years, got divorced, trying to figure out what's next? Where do I go from there? Right.
Sure.
You just want to
Yeah.
sit on the couch and eat bonbons all day. Right.
Right.
Right,
Right.
right. So I'm just thinking, like, what could I do to kind of help other women out there, even men? I know you don't
Mhm.
really specialize in that, but like just helping them out to figure out to get that next step, get up off the couch and do some new things, try some
Yeah.
new things, and get themselves in a better place. Right.
Yeah.
So tell me, start from the beginning. How did this all happen? How are you here? What happened?
Oh, from the beginning. Let's see. Childhood, majority of my childhood, I was raised by a single mom. So went through all that kind of stuff and watching my mom struggle and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
did went down the route of just doing construction, just kind of living life. And I was noticing that I was falling apart physically.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gotten married and kind of let myself go. And that was kind of like me living my greatest fear of you get married, life becomes super boring, you let yourself go, everything just kind of you just fall into those habits.
Yeah, and
Um,
that happens often, right? With a lot of
yeah,
people. Yeah,
yeah,
you get what is it like you're happy, fat and happy.
yeah,
So,
yeah, fat, happy or whatever.
yeah, you're
Uh,
just enjoying it.
and the people around me, they weren't really happy. They're just living their mundane marriages with
Mm,
their partner, and they didn't feel great about themselves. And I could tell that I was kind of going down the same path.
yeah.
And so I was getting like the beer gut, and I was getting lazy and stuff. So I just made a decision to transform myself physically.
Hmm.
Um, and kind of redesign myself and went through a pretty crazy transformation. I was never super overweight, but I was super thin, and now I was super thin and with a huge beer belly and just
Oh,
not
wow.
not a good look, not a good look. So I went through my own physical transformation, and then from there, friends and family asked me to help them,
Oh,
and I
nice.
kind of helped them, and then I finally said, no more construction. I'm gonna start personal training people. So I
Mm,
started with that, and through my personal training business, it became pretty successful, and then was acknowledged as one of South Florida's top trainers from Fit Nation magazine, and that
nice.
really blew up my business.
Yeah.
The in-person business got so successful that I naturally had to create an online program, um,
Hmm.
and that also creating my online program allowed me to provide even a higher level of value to
Okay.
others, and on a larger scale. So now we help women all over the world, and it's shifted towards mainly women because number one, as you mentioned, like women are the most preyed upon when it comes to their health and beauty and fat loss and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
also, it's still vivid in my mind that all my mom struggled with as a single mom, and watching her self-confidence dwindle and her
Hmm.
feeling like, I don't have time. It's hopeless for me to ever get my body back or feel confident again. So
Yeah.
that's where I kind of rooted everything from. So now, like I said, we help women all over the world physically transform. Um, but also there's a huge level of emotional transformation because obviously they're both connected, number one, but
Totally.
um, the emotional transformation usually leads to a greater physical transformation. So we kind
Okay.
of encompass everything.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So I think it's really important because it starts with you, right? Like you
Yeah.
had to get in that right mindset because how are you going to help somebody else if you're not there? Kind of like
Right.
love yourself
Yeah.
to to love somebody else. So I love that you kind of took the time to work on yourself and do that first. And then it like attracted people going, wait a second, what are you doing? I want to do what you're
Yeah.
doing. And
Yeah.
from that, a career was born, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. Amazing.
Very much so.
Very, very cool. Okay, so you've talked a lot on your website, and it's now a part of your coaching about being our favorite word, a narcissist.
A buzzword.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that like one of the year's words or something? You know, like
It had to
toxic
be.
was,
It
it
had to be.
had to be like of 2021 or something. Toxic was
Yeah.
one, COVID was 2020, I think. But
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
talk a lot about being a narcissist and that you became very self-destructive in this path until you finally hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
So okay, so I really want to dig deep into this narcissist thing because it's
Oh yeah.
fascinating to me, and I think the word is very overused, and it's like gaslighting. You
I
know, people
agree.
are like, "I was gaslit," and you're like, "Oh yeah," you know, you don't always know, right?
Yeah.
Because we just kind of
Yeah.
throw it out. So this is very similar. So how did you know that you were a narcissist, and how do you know you're now?
Yeah, sure. I knew I was being narcissistic, number one, because my actions weren't lining up with my words,
Mm,
for one.
okay, huge.
Number two, the only person I was looking out for was myself. I had complete disregard for the people that I love and their feelings in
Yeah.
every way, shape, or form. Like I was the most important thing.
Was this
So,
now when you were doing the construction, or even once you got into
oh, so this was all right. Here's part
give it
two.
to me straight?
So after the fitness business blew up and my physique changed and all that, I became a full-time fitness model on top of it, traveling all over, all the attention and all that.
Your head
Through that,
blew up.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And without me knowing at the time, I had some serious abandonment trauma from my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So the attention from the modeling world led to lying and cheating
Mm-hmm.
with to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And really to my family. Like I said, I was only looking out for number one. Since I had abandonment trauma, I realized that my greatest fear and my biggest goal was to never be abandoned again,
Yeah.
which is why I was always trying to keep somebody else around in case my girlfriend left me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the more self-sabotage I created, the worse I felt about myself. So that just it just kept piling on like the perfect snowball.
Yeah.
And then eventually, obviously people around you can only take so much of you before they choose to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the relationship self-destructed. I had hurt my family and my son and my parents, greatly from my decisions and stuff. And depression kept piling on. And then my rock bottom was my suicide attempt, which it took me to rock bottom. And then from rock bottom, it became a long journey of acknowledging the trauma that I did have and acknowledging what my actual struggles were. So the way I know I'm not a narcissist now is because I was able to unpack and heal that trauma. And it
Mm-hmm.
did give an excuse to my behavior, but it shed insight on why I would keep doing those things,
Mm-hmm.
knowing they didn't make me feel any better. So
Okay.
essentially, I was able to take ownership of my my narcissistic behavior. And then
Nice.
if I took ownership of it, that means I can take ownership of myself from this day forward also.
Mm-hmm.
So just like I had the ability to make those decisions, I have the ability to make other decisions also.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you do therapy, or this was just kind of your own revelations and things you went on through on your
I
own?
did. I tried every form of therapy, and was mentored by some pastors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And um, traditional therapy didn't have a great effect on me. I felt like I was just another number. That's my personal experience. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so really just um, my spiritual mentor and allowing me to see again my downfalls for what they were. I know I
Yeah.
wasn't put on this earth to create hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I just
Mm-hmm.
had to, I essentially I had to reverse engineer my life. go back through all the steps, why I did this, why I went through a divorce,
Yeah.
while my dad had to go away for a while, all that stuff. So once I had all that information, I was able to create something productive with it.
Wow. And what's the time frame of this? Like from when you kind of realized it?
About 3.5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a process, right? Because once I was able to see, like, holy crap, this is a lot of trauma. Now, how do I deal with it? And then
Yeah.
once you start processing it, what do you do after that? And then once you come to terms with all that, that doesn't mean people want you back in their life
Yeah.
just because you had an epiphany, right? So
Right. Right.
there's all kinds of layers that I had to unfold, all the way up to social anxiety and being scared to not scared, but just hiding from society because I was so guilty and shameful of my past.
Yeah. And also maybe fear of falling back into it. Did you ever feel
Uh
like that or no?
no, because the suicide attempt kind of was a awakening of like,
Awakening.
this is
Yeah.
and I realized that it was just I was trying to kill that version of myself,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to physically kill myself. I just wanted that version of myself
Be
to
gone.
end.
Yeah.
Just wires got crossed. So,
Yeah. And I appreciate that you're being so open, of course,
oh
to
yeah,
talk about that. And I want
yeah,
to touch base. I don't want to just skim over that, the suicide attempts. And I want to talk about that in a little bit, if that's okay.
sure.
I just kind of want to stick on the narcissist for a few minutes here.
Yeah.
So how can someone tell if, I mean, you kind of said how you recognize. So what are the signs for yourself and maybe also for your partner to recognize that they are a narcissist or you are one? What are the top, 5 or 6 signs of that?
Yeah, like I said, the biggest thing is if actions aren't lining up with words, because a lot of narcissists, their goal is to look like a good person in public, right?
Hmm.
So what usually happens is they portray somebody when they're around other people. Then when they get in private with their spouse, it's a completely different story,
Yep.
right? Or if your spouse is telling you one thing and the actions aren't lining up, that's another way.
Hmm. That's
Um,
amazing because I recognize that. I had
yeah,
that in my last relationship. So I know, and hearing
yeah,
my girlfriends talk, I'm just like, it's funny how you can see it though in somebody else, right? Not so much
yeah,
yourself. You stick in something way longer. But you can see right off the bat, like to my girlfriend, I'm like, oh, that's what he is
yeah.
right there.
Yeah. And really a very powerful insight, which most people don't want to hear, is when it comes to narcissists, they're created, so they're not born,
Hmm.
right? You're
Oh,
not born a
interesting.
narcissist, right? They're created. So like if I use myself as an example, during my most narcissistic days, my girlfriend, she had her own trauma from her past. So whenever I did get caught or whatever, she would try to find ways to make it work or forgive me or say it's
Mm-hmm.
okay, we'll get through it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all that does to a narcissist is just fuel the fire and subconsciously tells them that what they're doing is okay.
Yeah.
So they're actually contributing to the narcissist, making the narcissist stronger.
Interesting. So what should she have done differently?
So if she would have cut it off, immediately the first time was a
Mm-hmm.
non-negotiable. Number one, she would have saved a lot of added trauma for herself in losing herself in the relationship. But also, she might have done me a huge favor and prevented my rock bottom.
Yeah. Wow.
But you have to take ownership of your part in interacting with a narcissist because they're created. They have to
Yeah.
be they have to be fed. They have to be fueled by certain things.
So you got to be real careful about that. If you think you are possibly with someone, you don't want to encourage it. You don't want to just
Right.
sweep it under the rug, if you will, right? You want to
Right.
actually take action and do something to make them go, oh, wait a second, what's going on
Yeah.
here?
The only way a narcissist can change is if they decide to change. And the
Mm,
only thing that would provide them any insight on wanting to change is for their life to change.
yeah.
So obviously my life took a drastic turn. So I had to make a decision, either continue on that path or create a new path. If
Wow.
nobody would have walked away, there'd have been no reason for me to perceive that I needed to change.
That's fascinating. So on your website, I had read you talked about modern society kind of enticing men to become narcissists and
Yeah.
engage in self-sabotage behavior.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about that, how that works, what you think on that.
I mean, really, with modern society, we have everything at our fingertips. So, like, if a guy needs to feel good, he can just scroll on social media
Mm-hmm.
and get whatever fix or get whatever attention or send a message or, you know, so everything's at our fingertips. So when we have, like, again, if I use myself as an example, if we have unhealed abandonment trauma and we don't want to be alone, it's not that hard for us to find somebody to come
Yeah.
hang out with us,
Yeah.
even if, there's it's not good for us. It's
Yeah.
just a minute. It can literally take minutes instead of us healing that trauma. So then we have this person we're using, right, which creates more abandonment trauma, and then
Mm-hmm.
just starts piling on. So whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sex, it's all at our fingertips. And for most people, you're either unaware of the trauma or you just don't want to deal with the trauma because you don't know how to.
Yeah.
So you just dive into everything that modern society has to offer.
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, if you go the other route and choose to work on yourself, to be honest, it's a lot. It's more lonely to work
Yeah.
on yourself. So there's just so much direct access at our fingertips that it's hard for men to find a reason to address things.
So it's very much like an addiction, really. It's like, right, like
100%.
alcohol, drugs, it's that need for validation
Yeah.
and for somebody to kind of stroke your ego. And you're right, where everything is at our fingertips right now. I mean,
Yeah.
especially I talk a lot about the online dating and what that's like, just having so many people in
So
your
many
queue or
options.
yeah, and one
Yeah.
isn't responding and you just go on to the next one and you're with one and you're looking for the next shiny object. And I
Mhm.
think that's created this narcissist, how would I say that, narcissism in our society. That's a big word.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Right.
discard people very easily.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
sad and it makes it difficult because there's not a lot of other ways to meet people and dating and stuff.
I
We're all
know.
kind of subjected to that and it just
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. I agree.
Myself included. And I've also heard before that I feel like almost everybody has a little bit of narcissism in them. And is that really, maybe it's not even the word, it's just, because everybody wants a little bit of, they're a little bit
I
selfish,
mean,
want
yeah,
things for themselves. You have to have a little bit.
you have to have a touch to have your own podcast, right? You have to have a touch to have your own business. You have to have a touch to
What are
want
you
to
saying,
succeed in
Derek? Are you?
life. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm just kidding.
to have any kind of success or even like have a successful marriage, you have to believe that you're worthy of being with this person or
Yeah.
like, so there's a touch. There's probably a better word than a touch of narcissism, but
Yeah.
there
Let's.
has to be some self
Yeah, because it's probably often
attention.
misconstrued, right? Like people
Yeah.
just think, oh, like we said, it's so easy to just call somebody a narcissist. It doesn't mean they are just because they're confident or,
Right.
they really feel good about things that they're doing and happy about it. But
Yeah.
it's when it goes that extra step, like when you don't care about what anybody else thinks,
Right.
right?
Like when
Right.
when your words don't match your actions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that happens a lot. Okay, in your opinion, oh, maybe I kind of already asked this, but we talked about the 7 traits that every man must possess to avoid becoming a narcissist.
Okay.
So, yeah. So give me
Yeah. The
those.
7
Give me those.
traits.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first one is the man has to be courageous, right? Because it takes courage to acknowledge that you have fears or you have insecurities or you
Mm-hmm.
have childhood trauma. So again, like, when I was struggling through my stuff, if I would have spoke up and said, I'm struggling with these things, I'm depressed, I'm doing all this crazy behavior, 90% of the people would respond with like, what do you have to be depressed about? You have this modeling career, you have this girlfriend, you have a great life. And that would have just made me feel even worse. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
have to be courageous to acknowledge what's going on inside you.
Yeah. That's the
So you
first
have to be
step for
courageous.
sure.
That's the first step. The second step is as a man, you have to be able to control your emotions. Because if you always react instead of respond,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to create more havoc for yourself. Like we're so quick to respond based on emotions. Like this person hurt me, this person did this, or hurt my feelings, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in control of your emotions, you have ownership over your choices. So somebody can only really hurt your feelings if you allow them to,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you have
Yeah.
control over your emotions, you can acknowledge the feeling that you're feeling and understand that's a feeling. So it's gonna pass. It's all feelings come and go.
Yeah.
And then you can stay focused on what you're actually trying to achieve. So essentially, control over your emotions allows
Yeah.
you to keep ownership of your life.
Okay. I like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, every man has to have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, you just float through life
Yeah.
aimlessly. When you float through life aimlessly, it's you seldom have boundaries for your life.
Mm. Boundaries are huge.
Yeah, and when you don't have
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, you have no direction. And then when you have no direction, you're bored. And then when you're bored, you seek out
Mm-hmm. I see a
stuff
pattern
from
here.
modern society. You see.
Yeah.
Uh, the next one, a man has to be decisive and not afraid to make decisions. And this kind of attaches to being courageous. So a lot of men will not be decisive,
Mm-hmm.
which is why a lot of men, cheat or lie or whatever, because they're not able to make a decision because they're not confident in the exact person they are. So they don't know really what they want. But if you're decisive,
Interesting.
you make a decision and then you act on it,
Yeah. I like
right?
it. And there's no room for you to kind of be flailing off in other directions.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I like
And
it.
then can't have a problem saying no. So if you think about it, even for women, it's hard for somebody to just respond with a simple no. They always feel like they have
Me, I'm
to
raising my
they
hand.
always feel like they have to explain themselves when really
Yes.
a no is more than enough for anyone.
That's so interesting you say that because I've had conversations with, other women and stuff where we're talking about having sex on a first date or, because it's so uncomfortable for me because I just want to say it before we go on the date. I just want to be like, excuse me, we're not having sex tonight, but let's go ahead and go on the date. Because I feel like it's every expectation. The guy thinks they're
Oh
going to
wow.
take you out for dinner. Yeah, you're like, what? Yeah, like they take you for dinner and then they're supposed to be rewarded for it, apparently. So, so for me, I was telling my girlfriend before I go out, I'm like, well, if he says something, I'm just gonna be like, no, I'm tired, I'm tired tonight, or I really like to wait till this time. And she's like, say no.
Just
That's
say
it.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We're always looking to make excuses for why we don't want to do this or that and trying to make somebody else feel better instead of just
Yeah.
convicted. No.
Well, here's what happens. So when you say no, followed up by, like you said, I'm tired or whatever,
Yeah.
again, now you become controllable and able to be manipulated. Okay, so she said no
Yeah.
because she's tired tonight, so that just means a
Tomorrow
different
night.
time, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
when you just leave it at a no, you're unpredictable to the other person.
Yeah.
So it's left at no. And
Yeah.
now you're
It's
not
got to be
predictable.
just so much more powerful. Just
Yeah, because then
no.
people just stare at you. They're like, huh?
Yeah. And you're like, all right, let's
Ah.
eat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the other two, really every modern man should maintain some level of physical health. There's really no excuse not to.
Yeah.
If it's not for your family, it should be for yourself and for the others around you.
Hmm.
So yeah, just physical health and being mindful of trying to hold a strong posture because men don't realize how much posture affects their people's perception of them. So
Hmm.
like, even if a man is struggling and feels really low about himself, if he has a strong, tall posture, he puts out a different energy,
Yeah.
a stronger energy, which is going to attract a different type of interaction that could very well help improve his mental health, right? When you have kind
Yeah.
of like weaker posture. Number one, it's directed downward, which that's where your energy is going to lower level people also.
Hmm.
So strong posture can be is a game changer. Super
Interesting.
underrated also.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sit up a little. You know, mind? I gotta get a little comfy. So, and when you talk about like men having a healthy, just doing something healthy and really no excuse for that, it's as simple as getting up and going for a walk, right?
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
just it can be the
you don't have
simplest
to be super
things.
jacked and super ripped, but you should
Yeah.
just maintain physical health.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we kind of all make excuses and, I've been trying to really get my steps in and I live in a small apartment. I'm in California.
Yeah.
And, like I went and got one of those walking pads. So it's like the half treadmill,
Okay.
and I like sit there and I'll be watching TV and I'm like, I could just get on that and still watch my show. And so,
Yeah.
and get my steps in. Right. And so
Yeah.
it's a mindset, it's like, do I want to get up? But when I do, every time I do, I feel so much
Feel
better.
better. Feel better.
Yeah. It's like going to church.
Yeah, and
You know?
that's the thing. And just physical health is obviously great for mental health also.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not about being super jacked or ripped. It's just about being physically active. Because when you're physically
Yeah.
active, your body's going to release dopamine chemicals. It has to,
Mm.
no matter what. So if you're feeling super terrible, if you go for a walk for 15 minutes, at least you're giving yourself a small chance to improve because of your body releasing chemicals.
Ooh, I like it.
Worst case, you just go back to sitting on your couch being depressed, but at least give yourself the opportunity and let your body do what it's
Yeah.
going
What
to
to
do.
do. Yeah. I like it. Okay. So talking about, mentally being in shape, you talk on your website and your coaching about your own personal struggles with mental health issues. And so you've dealt with depression, you've dealt with anxiety, and then you've talked about, the suicide attempts that you've had. So what mental transformation occurred, like to pull you out of that rock bottom? Just give us a
Yeah.
little bit of what happened there.
Yeah. The biggest transformation came when I just took extreme ownership of every aspect of my life. So yes, my childhood was what it was. My divorce was what it was. Certain things weren't my responsibility. The only responsibility I did have was how I choose to respond to those.
Hmm.
Right? I can't change what's happened to me. I can choose how I respond to those things. So once I was at my lowest point, once I took ownership of everything, yes, I did this. Yes, I was a narcissist. Yes, I experienced this. All that, I was allowed to leave it there
Yeah.
and take ownership of the next day. So the next day, I have the same decisions to make as I did before when I made all the negative decisions. I still have this same ability to make decisions.
Hmm.
And now I just have more awareness of the person I don't want to be. So extreme ownership is like the foundation of any transformation. Because
Hmm.
unless you can acknowledge and take ownership of what you did or what was done to you, you don't have control over your life. That has control over your life. If you can
Yeah.
stand with ownership, then you have control. And then, like I said, from there, it was just a lot of mental work of like self-forgiveness, learning to let go of guilt and shame, apologizing to specific people in person, um, and rebuilding myself as a man. And while I was going through that, I had a lot of social anxiety because of everything that had transpired. Um,
Hmm.
and then that became baby steps of like, okay, today I'm going to take my dog for a walk outside. Okay, today I'm gonna go to
Ooh. So it was
lunch.
really hard just to even get yourself out of the house each day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then from there, I literally just started building a new man, doing the
Yeah.
opposite of what I did before.
Yeah.
Um, because like I said, once you have ownership, nobody can tell me anything about my past that I don't already know.
Yeah.
Right. So there's nothing that can sabotage me. Where if you don't
Hmm.
have ownership, somebody can hit you with something that causes a massive trigger and you fall off again.
Hmm.
Right? But when you
Wow.
have ownership, you're in complete power.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you said when you had the thoughts of suicide or attempts, it was really not to leave yourself. It was just to kind of get rid of what you didn't want in yourself. Am I kind
Yeah,
of
I
saying
mean,
that right?
I was so mentally fogged up and distraught, that was the only way I could think of how to end that version
Hmm.
of my life. But once I came
Yeah.
to the other side and started learning about the spirit and the universe and all that, like my spirit was trying to end that version of me.
Right.
And I just, misconstrued everything.
Wow. And what was your kind of wake up call there when you were in that moment, if you don't mind me asking?
And which
Well,
moment?
like when you were just at the rock bottom and you were kind of having those thoughts, how did you get yourself
Well,
out of it?
I was in the act of it, and my mom found me.
Okay.
And then
Thank God. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then then I have to unpack that because that's a lot of guilt and shame and just craziness. So once I got away from that, uh,
Hmm.
like I said, it was just a matter of taking ownership and giving myself some grace because I did not want to
Yeah.
end my life. I just wanted to end that period of my life.
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
and and I realized I had the ability to do it just by making choices and taking ownership.
That's huge. That is so amazing. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy I'm here too. I'm happy I'm here too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what do you think is the foundation of any mental and emotional transformation? What is the basis that they got to start with?
The basis is acknowledgement and ownership. That's
Do it.
where,
Accountability is where it's
yeah,
at.
yeah. There's no shame in acknowledging and taking ownership of your life because at the end of the day, like what I did or what I went through, I'm not
Hmm.
the only person to ever go through it or make those
Right.
mistakes, right? So and neither
Yeah.
are you if you're struggling.
Yeah.
So there's power and there's healing in acknowledging that person that you were or the things that you did.
Yeah. And I
And
love that you're talking about this, Derek, because it is a little bit of taboo for people, and I'm not trying to be insensitive in any way by asking questions and kind of digging deeper with it.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I really just want you to be able to speak freely about it. And
Yeah,
I don't want people to be afraid to talk about it. And if somebody needs
yeah,
help, to reach out. So I
100%.
think that's a really big thing. And where are you at? Where are you kind of at now? Like, I know you're blossoming and doing amazing and everything is great. Did you get your
Yeah.
girlfriend back? Like, what happened there?
No,
No,
no, no, no,
no.
no.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. So, okay. So I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but how
Okay.
do you think? I'm gonna be like, how do you think you know enough about women to help them with their journeys? I mean, we're talking about middle-aged women here. Okay.
Yeah,
So you roll in. And for you listeners out there, this man's hot. I'm just gonna say that he's a very fine looking man. So if he rolled up, I would totally be like, I'm in, I'm in. Okay, so how are you? Is that how you're
I
getting these?
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're
No.
welcome. Is that how you're getting these? He's blushing. He's blushing, by the way. Okay, tell me how you know enough about women to
Yeah.
take care of that.
I mean, really, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, it really starts with my mom, and it was so painful to watch her struggle because like I would just see it on her face of just feeling defeated every day, and like she just felt like life was passing her by. It's like that's not the life she signed up for, and
Yeah.
right, she was working like well over 40 hours and trying to do all these things for me, like she just felt hopeless. Like she was
Mm,
just watching herself like deteriorate almost in the mirror, right? Because
yeah.
she definitely didn't have time to go work out or eat healthier or meal prep or anything like that.
Yeah.
And once the more I started learning about metabolism and the human body, like if my mom had the knowledge that I have now,
Hmm.
she could have lived a thriving life. She could have start burning fat quickly without having to work out, without having to meal prep, just by
Hmm.
making a few different decisions
Yeah.
in her day to day life. So really, my mom is like the model that the program is based around. So women
Aw.
that have so much on their plate, right, and
Yeah.
they probably feel like they have to massively overhaul their life if they ever want to feel confident again and look a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the exact opposite. It's just you can make small, subtle changes that
Mm-hmm.
will start creating positive physical changes. And when you start seeing positive physical changes, it usually improves your mental state. When you have a better mental state,
Mm-hmm.
start making better decisions for yourself. And now you created a positive snowball instead of feeling
Yes.
the way my mom felt.
Yeah. And I agree. It's 100% like that because I started like a workout transformation course
Yeah.
like in September.
Yeah.
And well, I think you maybe have seen me on Instagram or something. I don't know. But anyway, I recently posted my kind of transformation because
Yeah.
I kind of came out of a relationship that I don't want to say it, but was probably narcissistic. Um, but anyways, so and I went into this boot camp course. It was supposed to be a 6-week transformation. And I walked into the office of my coach and he's like, "Why are you here?" And I was like diarrhea of the mouth. I'm just like, "Oh, I've been having in this horrible relationship for 2 years and all this stuff happened, right?"
Yeah.
And so and he just looked at me and said, "What do you want? Like, where do you want to be?" And normally I would have been like, said some bullshit stuff, walked out the door and not looked back, like felt like,
Yeah.
okay, I made my step. I went and talked to him, and I just had to really say to myself, Andrea, if you want to make a change, like do
Yeah.
it. And so I just did, and I went all in on it. And, it's been about 5 months. I'm down 11 pounds and 6% body fat. And
Nice.
I'm like,
Congrats. Get it, girl.
yeah. And I will say it's exactly what you said. Mentally, I am in such a better place,
Mhm.
whether I have a man or not, whether I have a job or not, mentally, I'm like in a good place because I'm happy with myself. And
Yeah.
I feel like every day, and you do get in that pattern or what is that? I think 28 days to make a habit or 21
You
days
have
or
it.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can't really eat something bad without at least thinking about it, right? Like
Yeah.
I might still eat it, but it
You might
makes
have a
me
little bit.
probably gonna
Yeah.
still eat it because there's some cookies I really love. But I'm gonna like think about it though, or maybe I'm
Yeah.
gonna not eat something else so that I can have those cookies.
Yeah.
So it changes that mindset, and I think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So like what a big thing that we say in the program is progress, not perfection. So
Hmm.
like we've created this just amazing community of women. And again, like if I use my mom example, so it's a program where like women can come and at the end of the day be like, Derek, I did not eat well, I didn't even exercise.
Hmm.
Right. And in most programs, they'll be chastised or told they need to do A, B, or C, which will have them feeling less defeated.
Hmm.
But if you're in that position in our community, then it's just a matter of, all right, so let's make one change tomorrow. That
Yeah.
might be a 5-minute walk, whatever it may be. So it's a
Yeah.
place to come um, to build themselves over time. We don't look for like quick fixes. We don't tell them they
Yeah.
have to eat something or we don't tell them they can't eat something. It's all catered to what they're going through because every person's journey is different and every woman has a different metabolism based on their
Yeah.
diet history and all that. So it's a very super supportive, amazing community of women.
Yeah. And it's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. And we go into it thinking like the quick fix. We're always looking
Yeah.
for that fad diet, right? To get us on the quick fix. And it's really it's nutrition. It's not
Yeah.
you can work out, but if you're still going to eat shitty, you're not going to get the results you're looking for,
Yeah.
right?
100%. Yeah.
What's the percentage you think is nutrition? Let's tell the people.
I mean, 90% of it's nutrition. So
90. That's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Like there's like no joke. Women drop a few inches within the first week just by changing the food that they eat.
Yeah.
Because and usually they have to eat more than what they're normally eating. So we just change the type of foods. So they're
Yeah.
actually eating more, but consuming less calories.
Yeah. Some more protein,
So
right? More
yeah, so
protein,
like
more
their
veggies.
metabolism kind of like wakes up and starts
Hmm.
letting go of fat cells just by changing the foods that they're eating. So they get like a little motivation boost because they lose a few inches in the first
Yeah.
week or so just by changing their foods. And then we just start slowly adding on new
Yeah.
new habits.
And I think that's a good point that you said about inches, not necessarily pounds, right? Because we're all like, we
Yeah.
are stuck to that scale. I'm guilty of it. The numbers
Don't
on
do it.
there. I know, and I try not to. And I'm like, I just want to look. And then I get mad at myself, but I know but I'll pull my pants on and I'm like, well, shit howdy, those are fitting better.
We
you
don't we
know?
don't even we don't even go by the scale in our program. We just go by inches and photos, because the
Inches and
scale can just
photos.
fluctuate, especially with women and hormones and cycles.
Yep.
The scale can stay the same, and we've had women lose like over 11 inches. But obviously they have to get new clothes, even though the scales is the same. So yeah,
Terrible.
the best way to stay frustrated is hop on the scale every day.
There's a bumper sticker. All right. So, can you give us a high level overview of what exactly you've got this program called the Metabolism Rev Up? What is
Yeah.
that? And then, kind of just a quick rundown of your simple but strategic down to earth program. Tell us about those.
Yeah. So it's a 12-week program where we teach you how to raise your metabolism naturally. So your body burns fat for longer periods of time, but it also starts burning fat easier. So what happens usually is when women want to lose weight, they don't like the way they look, the way they feel. They hop on some diet, whatever the diet may be, whatever the diet's called. In some way, shape, or form, you start eating less, right? So your metabolism, everybody's metabolism is controlled by the amount of lean muscle fibers that you have on your body. The more of these muscle fibers you have on your body, the more energy it takes for your body to walk, sleep, eat, brush your teeth. So it's like a campfire, right? If you want a bigger campfire, you have to have more wood on the fire.
Yeah.
That's how your body works. You have to have more muscle fibers for a higher metabolism.
Okay.
But when you start eating less through a diet, you start consuming less nutrients. Your metabolism realizes less fuel is coming in than what it's used to. So it starts holding on to the nutrients that it has. So it starts holding on to fat cells to preserve for energy.
Okay.
So if it's holding on to fat cells, that means it has to use your muscle fibers as its daily energy source. So it
Okay.
starts shedding muscle fibers, spending muscle fibers. The longer you go through that process, the slower your metabolism comes, which is why you see women hit plateaus, or when they hop off the diet, all the weight comes back on.
Yeah.
It's just because now their metabolism is slower than when they started. So all
Oh.
we
I'm like, so it's totally defeating the purpose when they start doing it, right? It just
Yeah.
sucks.
So we teach you how to give your body enough nutrients to preserve and build new fibers, not
Okay.
enough to create fat cells. So as you repeat that process, your metabolism literally wakes up, says it's party time. I don't need these fat cells anymore. Let's use these fat cells to walk, sleep, eat, brush your teeth. So now you're burning fat for longer periods of time throughout the day. Once your metabolism is working properly and using fat cells how it's designed to use fat cells, now your body starts letting go of water retention, inflammation, and then that starts pulling your hormones back into balance. So now not only is your body changing, but you're feeling better overall, getting better quality sleep, more natural energy, even better skin complexion, all that just by giving your body the right amount of food. So like we don't even track calories, we just go off portions. And then as you repeat the process, you start burning fat for longer periods of time, whether you're sleeping, whether you're on vacation, etc. So it's a very long-term, sustainable, super healthy game plan to fat loss.
Ooh, I like that.
I feel like
That's
I just
smart.
threw a lot at you guys.
I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot. I kind of got most of it, but I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, what you're saying. So, and it's a proven fact. So it has to be right?
Has
It's
to be.
it's crazy to think our bodies were built this way. I mean, as you're saying it, I'm just thinking, like, is this what was being thought of when they were made, when our bodies were made? Like
Oh,
all
it's
of these
crazy.
intricate things that you know of now. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, smart too, man. Uh, so what kinds of things would you say are good to take like supplement wise? Like what about like the fat burning supplements or the energy type drinks boosting stuff? Tell me about that stuff. What you got there?
So number one, you have to realize they're called supplements because they're supposed to supplement your diet and exercise.
Oh, okay, got it.
Right.
Okay.
So so like I said earlier, your metabolism only works one way, right?
Yeah.
With the muscle fibers. More muscle fibers, the higher the metabolism. So
Hmm.
there's no supplement that can increase your metabolism or actually help you lose fat. There's no now there's supplements that can make you sweat a lot and make you feel like you're burning fat.
Yeah.
But the only way you burn more fat is to increase your muscle fibers.
Hmm.
So any supplement that says fat burning or fat burning tea is not is it's impossible
Let me go through my
scientifically.
cupboard. I'm sure I got some of those fads
You
in
know,
there.
scientifically it doesn't add up. And then
Yeah.
like I mean there's pre-workouts, there's energy things, and usually it's just a matter of like some caffeine and stuff. So whether you take it through a drink or you just take caffeine pills,
Yeah.
it'll give you more energy. But again, when it comes to fat loss, it's all rooted in your muscle fibers. So like
Mhm.
we don't encourage any supplements in our program. We just want your metabolism to do what it's designed to do. So women
Yeah.
actually save money because they're not spending a
It's
bunch of money on
expensive.
supplements and injections and
Yeah.
patches and teas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, and like I said, supplements are designed to supplement your health,
Yeah.
right, and your
Yeah.
activity. So I would save your money on any supplement, to be honest.
Oh,
Aside
I
from like
like it.
powders that make it easier to get nutrients in, but
Yeah. What about like energy drinks, like, all those ones
which
that are
ones?
out there?
I do love a
Okay,
good
you
energy
do
drink.
love. Okay, my son's on Celsius all the time,
Yeah, those
all
are
the
hot right
time.
now.
Those are good. That's good. Zoa's out. That's new, right? I
Yeah.
think the Rocks drink.
Yeah. I mean,
Alani. There's some different ones.
what I would tell you when it comes to energy drinks, I do love a good energy drink.
Like a
But
Monster.
I mean, those
Does
are pretty good.
so?
They can do it tequila.
We're totally defeating the purpose here.
But like Monsters, for example, if you look on the back and if the energy has an ingredient called taurine,
Touring. Spell
yeah,
that.
Taurine.
Oh, I'm glad I asked. I was like Touring. Okay, go on.
So if it has that ingredient, that's an actual supplement to help you relax
Hmm.
before bed. So a lot of those drinks, they put it in there because you drink it, you get a little boost of energy, and then you get super drowsy. So you have to have another one.
That's
So
tricky, right?
avoid any energy drink that has taurine in it.
Touring. That's like
Yeah,
Apple, the Apple phones where they bring it all down so you gotta get the next one, right?
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not sure if
crap.
Celsius has it in there, but I do know Monsters have it in there.
Oh, what are the top ones, would you say? The top good ones to get, like one or two.
The good ones, I mean, if you're only talking like one every now and then, I think Celsius is all right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really, there's actually a powder form supplement called Dopa Rush.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like the caffeine and all the other crazy stuff, it actually releases more dopamine in your brain. So you don't have like energy spikes.
Yeah.
Get your brain essentially becomes more active. So you're more clear, more focused. So it's
Oh,
a much more smooth, natural way. It's called Dopa Rush.
Dopa Rush. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Look for that. Okay, so just to kind of finish it out, what are some
Sure.
good ideas of things like, my podcast again, it's like a wide range of topics, but definitely
Okay.
about, I talk about mental health and all that stuff and like just getting your body back in shape and then, dating, sex and all that good stuff. But I encourage my listeners to kind of just get up and do something. So
Mhm.
what would be your most important piece of advice you could give for those that are struggling to move on after, divorce, heartbreak, tragedy, things like that?
Yeah, the biggest piece of advice that I could give you if you're struggling, like you said, with tragedy or divorce or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
what I would do is number one, I would write down all the negative feelings and statements that are in my mind. So whatever
Mm.
negative things or sad things you're telling yourself, write those on a piece of paper.
Because you're kind of
Next,
acknowledging them, right?
acknowledge
Okay.
them. And
Yeah.
then right next to those each statement, write the exact opposite of those statements.
Okay.
right? So now the
Positive. Yeah.
polar opposite. So those positive statements are actually the lessons and reminders the universe is trying to send to you through this dark time of your life.
Oh, wow.
And then you use that list and read that positive list every day. So you're reminded of why you're going through what you're going through.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for people to remember is, a lot of what you said, it's just taking that first step,
Mhm.
right? It's like doing little small things just to get yourself started with it. And we all kind of want to procrastinate. And we do it all the time. We're like, oh, I'm going to start on Monday. I'm going to start on
Yeah.
Monday, but start
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah.
Like just get up and go
Don't
for
wait
a
till
walk.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like even those small steps I did during my social anxiety where it was, take my dog for a walk and then grow from
Yeah.
there were times where like the next step was to go eat dinner or whatever. And when I was at dinner, I would have a breakdown or a trigger and it would mess me up and I had to go back home. But the only
Yeah.
way I knew where I was at was to go try it.
Try it again.
Right.
Yeah.
That builds awareness. If you don't try, you don't have awareness. You don't know where you're going or what the next step is. So don't be
Yeah.
afraid. Everything is a learning experience.
Right. And to not beat yourself up about it if you
Yeah.
fall off, like you eat something you shouldn't eat. You can't get all worked up about it. The thing I love the most about life is every day is a new day and it's a new
Yeah.
start, right? And I love that.
Exactly.
I get up every morning and I'm like, it's a great day today. I really do.
Brand
I
new
just
day.
love.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, you got to kind of look at it that way as it's an opportunity and we're alive. Like, how
Yeah.
amazing is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're alive with us here. I love it. I love it. Did you just snort? I'm sorry.
I
Maybe
don't
I
think
did.
so. Maybe you did. I think that
I
was
think
you.
it was me.
I'm gonna tell everybody it was you.
It was me. Don't say anything. All right, before you go, I'd love to do this little game called From Mrs. to Ms. Fun Facts. It's just a little this or that. It's pretty much relationship kind of driven. So I'm just going to give you two things and you say which one you prefer off the top of your
Okay.
head. Okay. 10 questions. Number one, romantic dinner at home or adventurous date night out?
Dinner at home.
Are you kind of a homebody? You like to just
If
chill
I
at
got
home?
somebody like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. Bubble bath for two or shower escapades?
Shower escapades. I can't fit in bathtubs really. Big.
How tall are you?
6'6".
No, you're not.
Oh.
You're 6'6"?
Yeah.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I did not know that. Okay, you just got
So
hotter.
no bathtubs.
No bathtub, barely a shower. Okay, a one night stand with someone you've crushed on or a relationship with someone you're feeling just okay about.
One night stand.
One night stand. Future plans or present moments.
Present moments.
Good one. Deep conversations or lighthearted banter.
Deep-hearted conversations.
That's good. Communications, key, right?
Yeah.
Trying new positions or mastering the classics.
Trying new positions.
Slow and
You're blushing now.
I know I am. It's after the 6'6". I'm a tall girl. So okay, slow and sensual or hot and wild?
Hot and wild.
Hot and wild. Texting throughout the day or saving it all for face-to-face conversations.
What context?
Okay, let's go with sexting throughout the day
Yeah,
or
throughout the day.
say
Throughout the
yeah.
day.
That's hot, right? Sexy banter. That's
Yeah,
good.
for
That's
sure.
fun. Slow dancing in the living room or spontaneous dance moves in the kitchen.
Can I slow dance in the kitchen?
Yes, you can. Yes,
That's
you
the
can.
best.
That's a good one. Last one, whispered sweet nothings or bold declarations of desire.
Bold declarations for sure.
Yeah, shout it from the rooftop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Thanks for playing along with that. That was fun.
That's fun.
All right. Tell everybody where they can find you. Where are you?
Yeah, so the best way to connect with me is on Instagram at dnewborn.
Mhm.
If you have any questions, just shoot me a DM. I keep it super organic on there. That's how a lot of people find me and connect with me. Or on Facebook at Derek Newborn,
Mhm.
or you can go to dereknewborn.com and get all the information about the metabolism rev up and there's a link you can apply to become part of the program. But yeah, social media, Instagram at dnewborn or Facebook Derek Newborn.
And they can
Yeah.
do everything via Zoom, or how does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, send me a message, and then once you apply, then we get on an actual face-to-face call so we can meet in person, and then we just go from there.
Nice. Oh, this is awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much for coming on today. You guys, I hope you enjoyed listening to Derek as much as I did today. So you guys, you can find me at From Mrs. to Ms. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, all social media platforms. If you want to see this video, and trust me, you do, go check it out on YouTube. I have all my videos up there, and we'll be putting some clips out. You can also email me at info@FromMrs.to Ms.net. We will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for joining. Bye.